Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into some really fascinating stuff. We're looking at student finances in the UK, career paths, especially in engineering, and a whole bunch of educational resources that we found.
Yeah, it's a really interesting mix this time.
It is. We've got a student finance newsletter that caught our eye, a few career guides that seem really helpful, and like I said, some spotlights on some pretty unique opportunities. So let's jump right in.
Okay, so Blackbullion and Save the Student, they're both um, really hammering home this idea of financial literacy. It's like they're practically begging students to get a grip on their money management.
Yeah, and it's so important, honestly, especially when you're dealing with loans and trying to figure out a budget for the first time. It can be really overwhelming.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is Save the Student goes all out with over 1,000 guides on their website.
I know, right? It's crazy.
They cover everything from loan repayments to get this snagging the best phone contract. It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket.
Yeah, it's like having a financial guru on speed dial. Exactly. And all this ties in really well with National Student Money Week, which just happened. The whole theme was about financial resilience, so it seems like there's a real push to make sure students are financially savvy.
Makes you wonder, though, do you think this is maybe a reaction to something? Like, are we seeing more students struggling financially? Or is it more like a proactive approach to just give the next generation the skills they need?
That's a good point. I'm kind of leaning towards proactive because it seems like there's more and more support available these days. But anyway, let's shift gears a bit and talk about engineering. It's like every other article is mentioning it. We saw something about National Engineering Day, a Job of the Week thing, focusing on nuclear engineering, and just a ton of other opportunities.
Well, there's a reason for that. I mean, the latest labor market information shows that engineering employees get this 6.3 million people in the UK. And the average salary, 39,163.3.
Wow, that's a lot of people and a pretty decent salary.
It is. Clearly, it's a big deal in the UK. A lot of earning potential there. And speaking of potential, that nuclear engineering spotlight. Super cool. They're designing, building, and maintaining systems that use nuclear energy. We're talking power generation, research, even stuff in medicine and defense. I had no idea nuclear engineers were involved in cancer treatment research. Did you?
No, I had no clue. That's amazing.
It really shows you how diverse engineering can be. You know, people think it's just about bridges and cars.
Yeah, it's so much more than that.
Right. It's everywhere. And it's pushing the boundaries in ways most people don't even realize.
So true. Okay, shifting gears again, but still kind of on the topic of engineering, there's this really cool project from Balfour Beatty that stood out to me. Their apprentices are working on a sustainable irrigation system in a rural community.
Wow, that's great.
Right. They're really making a difference in people's lives.
It's like that whole change makers idea they're promoting is actually happening. And what's really interesting is that they're doing all this while they're learning and getting paid. That earn while you learn model is so appealing, especially with how expensive traditional education is these days.
I agree. Okay, let's break down some of the specific opportunities we found. First up, Amazing Apprenticeships is hosting a bunch of webinars from March to June.
Nice.
Then there's this really cool virtual work experience program in the beauty industry happening from April 15th to the 17th.
I wish they had those when we were students.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's like you can actually get a feel for a career without having to go anywhere. It's perfect for people who maybe live far away or have limited mobility.
exactly.
Oh, and for the younger folks, there's a small piece trust engineering course for kids aged 12 to 14 running from May 27th to the 30th.
And they offer funding possibilities too, right?
They do. And last but not least, for anyone who loves a good competition, Born to Engineer has this awesome list of UK engineering competitions.
I always loved competitions. Even if you don't win, you learn so much. Like, I remember that robotics club I was in. It wasn't about winning for me. It was about the challenge, you know? The teamwork, the late nights trying to solve problems. It taught me how to think critically, how to be creative, and those are skills I still use today.
That's awesome. I can definitely see how that kind of experience would be invaluable, regardless of whether you win or lose. Okay, let's talk about money again. Specifically, financial support for students. The University of Manchester is doing some amazing stuff with packages for students from underrepresented backgrounds.
Yeah, I read about that. There was a story about a student who came from a low-income family and thought university was completely out of reach.
Yeah.
But one of those packages made it possible, and now they're doing great in their engineering program. It's really inspiring.
It really is. It shows you that there's help out there if you look for it.
For sure. And they even encourage students to look into other universities too, because there might be scholarships and bursaries that people don't even know about.
That's great advice. Oh, and there's this really cool opportunity with Penguin Books. They're offering a paid summer internship, 8 weeks long. You get to work with the UK's largest publisher.
That's amazing. That kind of experience is priceless. Learning about publishing in a classroom is one thing, but actually working on real projects, interacting with authors and editors, seeing how the whole industry works from the inside, that's something else.
You do have to be 18 to apply, though, so if you're not there yet, maybe keep it in mind for the future.
Yeah, never too early to start planning.
Now, let's say you're thinking about applying to Oxbridge or medical school or some specific law programs, the really competitive
Oh
ones.
yeah, those.
Those often require university admissions tests.
Don't let those tests scare you, though. We've got a guide that explains everything. Different types of tests, tips for preparing, even practice questions. Just take a deep breath, do your research, and you'll be fine.
Excellent advice. And speaking of research, let's circle back to Balfour Beatty for a second. They're really pushing this idea of their apprentices being change makers, and they're actually backing it up with projects that benefit local communities.
I really like that. Encouraging young people to use their skills to make a positive impact is so important.
I agree. And you know what else I noticed? They really highlight the earn while you learn thing on their website. They even have a section where current apprentices talk about their experiences and how they're avoiding student debt. It's definitely worth checking out. So we've covered quite a bit already, from financial literacy and all those engineering opportunities to scholarships, internships, and even those scary university admissions tests. It's a lot to take in, but hopefully you're starting to see just how many resources and opportunities are out there.
I think so. It's really encouraging.
Before we move on, I'm curious, what stood out to you so far? Anything particularly exciting or surprising?
Well, I think what really strikes me is just how accessible everything is these days. I mean, remember when we had to go to the library and search through tons of books to find this kind of information?
Oh, I remember those days. It's crazy how technology has changed everything. Now you can learn about pretty much anything from your couch. Like, think about those amazing apprenticeships, webinars. You can explore all these different career paths without even leaving your
I
house.
know. And that virtual work experience in the beauty industry, unheard of a few years ago. It's just amazing how many doors are open to people now.
It really makes you realize how much things have changed. Let's go back to financial literacy for a moment. It seems like it's a big theme in everything we've looked at.
It's super important. I mean, managing your money is a crucial life skill, but it's not always something that's taught in school. I remember when I first started managing my own finances, I was so lost. I wish I'd known about resources like Blackbullion and Save the Student back then.
Yeah, me too. It's like they've created this safety net for students who are just starting out, and Save the Student having over 1,000 guides is just incredible. They literally have something for everyone.
They do. From the basics of budgeting to understanding credit scores to even investing, they cover it all. And don't forget those guides on finding the cheapest groceries and student discounts. It's really impressive.
They really do think of everything. And it's great that they're addressing those everyday challenges that students face. Remember, National Student Money Week was all about financial resilience. It's about giving students the tools to not just survive financially, but really thrive.
Exactly. It's about more than just scraping by. It's about building a solid foundation for your future. And that kind of brings us back to all the career options we talked about earlier. It's really exciting to see such a diverse range of opportunities, especially in engineering.
The engineering field just keeps evolving, doesn't it? It seems like there's always something new happening, some new innovation or application. Like, think about that nuclear engineer spotlight. Who knew they were involved in cutting-edge cancer treatments?
It really challenges those old stereotypes about engineers just building bridges and fixing cars, right?
Yeah.
They're at the forefront of so many fields: healthcare, sustainability, even space exploration. The fact that engineering employs over 6 million people in the UK shows how important it is to the economy.
It really does. It's clearly a field with huge growth potential, and the demand for skilled engineers is only going to increase. That's why initiatives like that Small Piece Trust engineering course and the Born to Engineer competitions are so important. They're nurturing the next generation of innovators.
And it's important to remember that those competitions aren't just about winning. They give students a chance to test their skills, work together, and learn from their mistakes. Those are valuable experiences no matter what the outcome is.
Absolutely. It's about the process, the growth, the problem-solving skills you pick up along the way. But what about people who are thinking, engineering sounds interesting, but I'm not sure it's for me? What advice would you give them?
I would say don't rule it out without exploring a little further. Engineering is such a vast field, there's bound to be something that catches your interest. I remember when I was younger, I thought engineering was all about math and physics, which wasn't really my thing. But then I discovered biomedical engineering, which combines biology with problem solving, and I was hooked.
So it's really about finding your niche within engineering. There are so many different paths you can take.
Exactly. And there are tons of resources out there to help you navigate those paths, like those amazing apprenticeship webinars that give you insights into all sorts of engineering specializations and can even help you connect with people working in the industry.
And never underestimate the power of mentorship. Reaching out to someone who's already doing what you're interested in can be so helpful. They can give you advice and guidance that you wouldn't find anywhere else.
It's amazing how willing people are to share their experiences and offer advice. I've had some incredible mentors throughout my career, and their insights have been so valuable. And networking is key too. Don't be afraid to connect with people on LinkedIn, go to industry events, or even reach out to alumni from your university. You never know what doors might open.
It's all about making those connections and learning from the people who've been there before. Speaking of universities, let's touch on admissions, especially for those really competitive courses like the ones at Oxbridge, medicine, and law.
Yeah, those applications can be really intimidating, and the admissions test can feel like a huge hurdle. But don't forget, there are resources available to help you prepare. We've got that comprehensive guide on university admissions tests, and your teachers and guidance counselors can also offer support.
Exactly. It's important to remember that you're not alone in this. There are people who want to see you succeed, and there are tools and resources to help you along the way. And even if you don't get into your first choice university, it's not the end of the world. There are so many paths to success, and sometimes a little detour can lead you to something even better.
That's so true. And it's easy to get caught up in the prestige of certain universities, but ultimately it's about finding the right fit for you, the environment where you can learn and grow the most.
That's such a great point. It's not just about getting into the best university, it's about finding the place where you can truly thrive. And speaking of thriving, let's touch on financial support again. We mentioned the University of Manchester's initiatives for underrepresented students, but there are so many other organizations and charities out there that are dedicated to helping students financially.
It's like a hidden treasure chest of funding opportunities. It's just a matter of doing your research and knowing where to look.
Exactly. Don't let financial worries stop you from pursuing your educational goals. There are people who want to help you succeed, so don't be afraid to ask for help. So we've covered a ton of information today, from financial literacy and engineering opportunities to scholarships, internships, and even those dreaded university admissions tests. It's a lot to process, but hopefully it's given you a better sense of what's out there and what resources are available to you.
We've given you the map. Now it's up to you to choose your own adventure. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to emphasize one thing.
It can feel a bit overwhelming with all these choices and paths to consider, right?
Absolutely. But that's also the exciting part. You have the power to choose the path that feels right for you, the one that aligns with your passions and your goals.
Okay, so let's talk about some concrete steps you can take right now to move forward. First things first, go back and revisit all those resources we mentioned. Blackbullion, Save the Student, amazing apprenticeships, Born to Engineer. They're full of useful information and guidance. Don't just let those links sit in your inbox.
Yeah, click on them. Explore those websites and really dig into the content, what sparks your interest, what resonates with you. And don't just passively read, take notes, highlight key takeaways, and come up with a plan.
I love that. Create a personalized action plan that's tailored to your specific goals. And while you're in that proactive mindset, why not dedicate some time this week to really getting a handle on your finances? Maybe download a budgeting app, create a spreadsheet, or even just grab a pen and paper. Start tracking your income and expenses.
Even small steps like that can make a big difference in your financial well-being. It's all about awareness and taking control.
And hey, while you're at it, why not reach out to someone who's working in a field that you're interested in? Send them a message on LinkedIn, ask for an informational interview. You'd be surprised how many people are happy to share their experiences and offer advice.
Networking is so powerful. And it's not just about asking for favors. It's about building relationships, learning from others, and contributing to your community.
Speaking of community, if you're thinking about going to university, start researching the universities and courses that pique your interest. Look into admission requirements, explore scholarship opportunities, and if you can, consider visiting the campuses.
And don't forget about those university admissions tests. The sooner you start preparing, the better off you'll be. And remember, we have that comprehensive guide on those tests to help you every step of the way.
We've given you a lot to think about today, a lot to digest. But remember, it's not about feeling overwhelmed, it's about feeling empowered. It's about realizing how many amazing opportunities are out there and knowing that you have the power to choose your own path. So take a deep breath, reflect on what you've learned, and allow yourself to dream big.
Don't be afraid to set audacious goals, to chase the things that truly excite you, the things that make you jump out of bed in the morning with a sense of purpose.
This deep dive has given you a glimpse of all the incredible possibilities that are waiting for you. But it's up to you to seize those opportunities, to take those first steps, however small, and turn those dreams into a reality.
You have the power to create the future you want.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time. But remember, the journey doesn't end here.
This is just the beginning. What stands out to me is just how accessible everything is. Like I remember when you had to go to the library and actually like dig through all these books to find any of this kind of information.
Wow, totally. It's amazing how technology has made things so much easier.
Right. Now you can learn about anything from home.
Yeah, think about those amazing apprenticeships webinars. You can explore all these different careers without even leaving your couch.
And that virtual work experience thing for the beauty industry. That would have been unheard of just a few years ago. It's amazing.
It is. It really makes you realize how much things have changed. But let's circle back to financial literacy for a second. It seems like a really key theme in everything we've looked at so far.
Oh, for sure. Managing your money is just such a crucial life skill, but it's not something that's always taught in school, unfortunately.
Right. And I remember when I first started managing my own money, I was completely lost.
Me too. I wish I had known about resources like Blackbullion and Save the Student back then.
They're lifesavers, especially for students just starting out. And Save the Student having over 1,000 guides is just mind-blowing. It's like they have something for absolutely everyone.
They do. Everything from budgeting to credit scores to investing, they've got it all covered. And don't forget all those guys on finding cheap groceries and student discounts too.
It's really impressive. It's great that they're tackling those everyday challenges that students face. And, National Student Money Week just happened, and their focus was all about financial resilience. It's like they're trying to give students the tools to not just get by financially, but to actually thrive.
Exactly. It's about more than just making ends meet, right? It's about building a secure future for yourself. Which kind of brings us back to all those career opportunities we discussed earlier. It's exciting to see so many different options out there, especially in the engineering field.
It is. And engineering just keeps evolving. There's always some new development or innovation popping up. Like, think about that nuclear engineer spotlight. Who knew they were involved in those cutting-edge cancer treatments? I certainly didn't.
Right. It really challenges that old stereotype of engineers just building bridges and fixing cars. They're doing so much more than that. They're involved in healthcare, sustainability, even space exploration. And the fact that over 6 million people in the UK work in engineering just shows how important it is to the economy.
It's a massive field with huge potential, and with the way things are going, the demand for skilled engineers is only going to go up.
Absolutely. That's why those initiatives like the Small Peas Trust Engineering course and the Born to Engineer competitions are so great. They're helping to inspire the next generation of engineers.
They are, and those competitions, it's important to remember, they're not just about winning. They give students a chance to try things out, work as a team, and learn from mistakes. Those are valuable experiences regardless of the outcome.
Totally agree. But what about people who are listening and thinking, engineering sounds kind of cool, but I'm not sure it's for me? What advice would you give them?
I'd say don't dismiss it without doing a little exploring first. Engineering is such a broad field. There's bound to be something that interests you. I mean, when I was younger, I thought engineering was all about math and physics, which wasn't really my thing. But then I discovered biomedical engineering, which combines biology with problem solving, and I was hooked.
So it's about finding that niche, that specific area within engineering that speaks to you.
Exactly. And there are tons of resources to help you figure that out. Like those amazing apprenticeship webinars, they can give you insights into all sorts of engineering specialties and can even connect you with people who are actually working in the field.
Yeah, and mentorship is so valuable too. Reaching out to someone who's already doing what you're interested in could be really helpful. They can share their experiences and offer guidance you wouldn't find anywhere else.
Mentors have been so helpful in my career too. And networking is key. Don't be afraid to connect with people on LinkedIn, attend those industry events, or reach out to alumni from your university. You never know what opportunities might come up.
You never know. Speaking of universities, let's talk a bit about admissions, especially for those competitive courses like Oxbridge or medicine or law.
Right. Those applications can be intimidating. And those admissions tests, they can feel like a huge obstacle.
They can. but there are resources out there to help you get ready for them. Remember we mentioned that guide that covers all the different types of tests, preparation tips, and even practice questions?
Right. And your teachers and guidance counselors can also offer support. Don't forget about them.
Definitely. It's so important to remember that you're not alone in this process. There are people who want to see you succeed, and there's help available if you need it. And even if you don't get into your first choice university, it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely not. There are so many different paths to success. Sometimes a detour can lead you somewhere even better.
That's so true. It's easy to get fixated on those prestigious universities, but the most important thing is finding the right fit for you, a place where you can learn and grow and be your best self.
That's such an important point. It's not just about the best school, it's about finding the environment that works best for you. And speaking of making things work, let's touch on financial support one more time. We talked about the University of Manchester and their initiatives for underrepresented students, but there are so many other organizations and charities out there that are dedicated to helping students financially.
It's like a hidden treasure trove of opportunities. You just have to know where to look.
That's it. Don't let financial worries hold you back. There are people who want to help, so don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, it can feel like a lot to take in, that's for sure.
It can. But I think the really exciting part is that you have so many options, so many paths to choose from. It's really all about finding what feels right for you, what aligns with your own passions and goals.
I think that's a great way to look at it.
So let's get practical. What are some steps people can take right now to start moving forward? I mean, first and foremost, go back to all those resources we talked about: Blackbullion, Save the Student, amazing apprenticeships, Born to Engineer. They're packed with good stuff, so don't just let those links sit in your inbox.
Click on them. Take some time to actually explore those websites and really dig into the content. Figure out what catches your eye, what really speaks to you. And don't just read passively, take notes, highlight those key takeaways, maybe even come up with an action plan.
Love that idea. A personalized action plan based on your own goals and interests. And speaking of action, why not spend a little time this week getting a grip on your finances? You could download a budgeting app, create a spreadsheet, or even just grab a pen and paper. Start tracking where your money is going.
It's all about awareness and taking control. Even small steps like that can make a huge difference in the long run.
Exactly. And while you're in that proactive mindset, why not reach out to someone who's working in a field that you find interesting? Send them a message on LinkedIn. Ask if you could chat with them for a bit, maybe even do an informational interview. You never know, they might be more than happy to share their experience and offer some guidance.
It's true. And networking is so valuable, not just for getting your foot in the door somewhere, but for learning from others and giving back to the community.
So true. And for anyone thinking about university, it's a good idea to start researching the schools and courses that you like, dive into the admission requirements, look into scholarship opportunities, and if you can, try to visit the campuses. It's a great way to get a feel for the environment and see if it's a good fit.
And don't forget those university admissions tests. The earlier you start preparing, the better. And remember, we have that guide to help you along the way.
We do. Okay, we've thrown a lot of information at you today. It's a lot to process, but I hope it hasn't been too overwhelming. I think the most important thing is to feel empowered, to realize that there are so many amazing opportunities out there and that you have the power to choose your own path.
That's what it's all about, taking control of your future and creating the life you want.
Exactly. So take a deep breath, think about everything we've discussed, and don't be afraid to dream big.
Set those big, audacious goals and go after the things that really light you up, the things that make you excited to get out of bed in the morning.
This deep dive has given you a glimpse of what's possible, but now it's up to you to take action. Even small steps can make a big difference. It all starts with you.
You have the power to make it happen.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time. But remember, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning.
The best is yet to come.